Hi everyone and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for your photo shoot day. First of all, if you are new here, please subscribe and join us. I make videos regularly on branding, visuals and social media marketing aimed at independent musicians. So if that is going to be helpful to you, then please stick around. I also have some courses on branding and social media to promote your music on my web shop, so please check those out as well. Super affordable. Okay, so if you have done your visual concept for your release and you have watched my photo shoot prep video, then you are ready for today, which is shoot day. So here are my tips to make sure that your shoot goes as smoothly as possible. Just some things to consider. Maybe you've forgotten something and you can save the day with that tip. Okay, so first of all, have a master equipment list and make sure that everyone, so if you're in a band or you have a team or you have a photographer, whoever's involved, make sure everyone knows what they are responsible for bringing. Have a master list, just everything you're going to need equipment-wise, and maybe a spreadsheet if you're super organized. Make sure the name of each person responsible is noted and everyone knows what they are responsible for. If you have a photographer, if you've hired a photographer, then make sure you know what equipment they're bringing and what they're going to be responsible for. Some photographers will just have their camera, they'll use natural light. Others will have maybe quite an extensive setup. Just check what they're bringing, if they have backups, that kind of thing. And if you are your own photographer, if you're doing a shoot on a phone, or if you've got a friend who's just offered to help you out, then just make sure you have backup in terms of battery and SD cards, chargers, that kind of thing. Just make sure you've covered all bases. I have got to a shoot before and my SD card just decided not to work, so I had to quickly source another one, and luckily that was quite easy to do within a short space of time, but it's not always going to be easy. So just make sure you have backup everything. Then also making a list of all the styling, props, that kind of stuff, hair, makeup, anything to do with image and props. Make sure again you have a master list of everything and make sure you know who is responsible for each thing so nothing is misplaced. In terms of outfits as well, I would always have backups just in case the colours don't go, or something gets broken or ripped. Just always have backups of as much stuff as you possibly can. And then the next thing, make sure you have a basic toolkit / styling kit. I literally have a toolbox and it's got some tools, but also some sewing stuff and some stationery. It's my kind of go-to kit for shoots or set design, or just, it's a one kit fits all kind of deal. But just make sure you have pins, safety pins, string, tape, glue, scissors, maybe basic tools. Just depending on your shoot, obviously, but I think it's a good idea if you're going to do this regularly, or if you are a stylist or creative director, to have a little kit. And you can just add to, if you need something that's not in it, for next time, add to your kit. And it's just kind of a thing that can just sit there, you just grab it and go. But it's got all the kind of handy things that you may need. You never know what you're going to need. Also make sure you have your vision boards accessible. Ideally everyone has them on a digital device, but also maybe printed out so you can all see them together and discuss and talk about them together. That's always helpful as well, maybe on A3 if possible. It's always easy if you can all gather and check your vision boards before you go into a shoot. Next thing, make sure you have a time frame and a rundown of the day, especially if you're using different locations. Most shoots will probably have more than one location. Just make sure that you know which time you're going to be at which place. Make sure if you're using natural light, where the sun's going to be in each location at each time, and coordinate your schedule accordingly. And then just allow for delays as well with traffic or transport, or just work out how long it's going to take you to get to each place, and have contingency for time ideally. Also make sure you have your permission slips or forms for each location if needed, and make sure that there's no designated time frame for you, or make sure that you're working to that designated time frame if there is one specifically for you. Next thing, have your content list. So for me, usually on a shoot, it won't just be, a set of images. It will be getting behind the scenes footage, getting behind the scenes imagery, maybe getting some actual B-roll footage as well. Just make sure that everything you want to capture from that shoot, and everyone knows, and don't forget anything. Make sure you schedule time for each thing and just work through your list accordingly. So for example, your content list could look like press photos, so portrait photos, creative band shoot photos, cover art photo, behind the scenes images for socials, behind the scenes footage to make reels. That's an example of just a really basic content list. Obviously add to it as you feel you need to, but again, have a list. You'll have a lot of lists. So I did mention, but yeah, lighting. If you're using natural lighting, just make sure you're really aware of where the sun's going to be. Make sure you've checked the weather. If you've done a location shoot, then what was the weather like on that day versus the shoot day? If you've got bright sun, it's going to be very different to an overcast day. So just make sure that your weather matches your needs. Make sure you're aware of the lighting. A lot of things can be fixed with equipment and things, but you need to be aware of it, and then you need to be prepared to tackle it if needed. Ideally, take a friend with you who can just act, or an intern maybe, who can act as like runner, just making sure your stuff's okay, making sure everything's organized, maybe running off to get food if you need to. Having just someone to help, even capturing the behind the scenes stuff, that can be really helpful. So ideally, get a friend involved, or if you're a bit more established, get an intern and get them to just help you out capturing behind the scenes and just running errands and things like that. It will help you out massively on the day. Okay, so I have briefly touched on backups, but just make sure you have backups for everything: outfits, batteries, chargers, everything. Just have backups, have contingency. Not everything will always run as your schedule permits, so just allow for adapting when you need to. And off the back of that, allow for some improvising on the day. You could plan a shoot, and I think in order for a shoot to run smoothly, it does need to be planned meticulously. But at the same time, if you all have an idea of a photo on the day, then run with it, because sometimes the best shots and sometimes the chosen shots will all be improvised ones. So as much as the planning has got you to that stage, so it's still needed, sometimes the improvising just takes over. So don't stick to your schedule so rigidly that you don't give yourself time to flow and veer out and take inspiration as it hits you. And roll, if you have a photographer as well, roll with them. They might have ideas extra that they want to try out, and just go with it, because you never know what magic can happen from that. So there you go. There are some tips and tricks to hopefully make your photo shoot day run as smoothly as possible. If you have any more to add, then drop them below. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. But basically, just make sure you have lists of everything: equipment, everything you need, shoots, prep, and you'll be golden. Good luck, and thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!